Hi there, welcome to Learn English 24/7. I'm James, and I'm so excited to have you with us today. Whether you're a returning viewer or if this is your first time here, I'm thrilled to guide you on your journey to mastering English. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications so you never miss a new lesson. At Learn English 24/7, our goal is to help you improve your English skills so you can speak better, understand more, and feel confident using English every day. I'm here to support you, whether you're just starting or if you're looking for ways to take your English to the next level. Let's get started. In today's video, we're going to talk about something that can help you improve your speaking skills and boost your confidence: graded readers. Graded readers are books specifically designed for English learners. What makes them so effective is that they come in different levels, starting from very simple books and gradually increasing in difficulty as your skills improve. This means that you can start with easy stories and, as you get better, you can challenge yourself with more advanced ones. I'll explain why graded readers are an amazing tool for mastering English and how they can help you become a more confident English speaker. Whether you're just starting to learn English or you've been practicing for a while, graded readers are a powerful way to improve your fluency, vocabulary, and speaking skills. I know that many of you face challenges when it comes to speaking English. Maybe you understand English when you read or listen to it, but when it's time to speak, you feel nervous or find that the words don't come out as easily as you'd like. Maybe you freeze up during conversations, or you struggle to remember the right words at the right time. You're definitely not alone in this. Speaking a new language can feel intimidating, and many learners go through this exact same thing. But here's the good news: there is a solution. The key to improving your speaking skills is practice, and that's where graded readers come in. By reading books that are specifically written for learners, you can practice speaking every day, gradually building up your fluency. The more you read and speak, the more confident you'll become. And don't worry, I'm here to show you exactly how to do it. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to use graded readers to improve your speaking skills. I'll break it down into simple, easy-to-follow steps so you can start practicing right away. You'll learn how to choose the right graded reader for your level, how to incorporate reading aloud into your daily routine, and how this method will make your speaking feel more natural and confident. We'll also dive into why consistent practice, even just for 10 minutes a day, can lead to big improvements in your English speaking ability. I'll share practical tips that will help you enjoy the process and stay motivated, so that you can see real progress in no time. Whether you're looking to improve your pronunciation, boost your vocabulary, or just speak with more confidence, this video is packed with valuable tips to help you get there. So, if you're ready to take your English to the next level, make sure you watch till the end. Let's dive into the world of graded readers and see how they can help you become a more fluent and confident English speaker. Let me tell you a story about Brooklyn. Brooklyn has been learning English for a while now. He started taking English classes a couple of years ago and, over time, he's built a solid foundation. He understands most of what he reads or hears, and he's become quite good at listening to English speakers. But when it comes to speaking, well, that's a completely different story. You see, Brooklyn gets nervous when he has to speak English. He often finds himself hesitating when someone asks him a question or when it's his turn to say something during a conversation. Even though he knows the words, they don't always come to him as quickly as he would like. He gets anxious about making mistakes and, sometimes, he feels like his sentences don't sound as good as he wants them to. Brooklyn also worries about his accent or whether he's saying things correctly, which causes him to freeze up when it's his turn to talk. If you can relate to Brooklyn's experience, you're definitely not alone. Many English learners face this challenge. You might understand a lot when you read or listen, but speaking is something entirely different. It can feel frustrating because you know the language in your head, but the words just don't come out the way you want them to when you're speaking. It's a common issue, and it's one that Brooklyn has struggled with for some time. So, let's talk about why Brooklyn's experience isn't unique and why many learners go through the same thing. When you're learning a language, there are different skills you need to master. Reading and listening are receptive skills. You're receiving information and processing it. Speaking, however, is a productive skill. It requires you to produce the language on your own, without any help from someone else. Speaking also requires you to think quickly and respond in real time, which can be difficult, especially when you're nervous. For many learners, the gap between understanding and speaking can feel quite large. You may have no problem following along with conversations, but when it's your turn to speak, it's hard to find the right words or build a sentence that sounds natural. This is where Brooklyn is, and it's where many learners find themselves too. But the good news is that there's a way to bridge this gap, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Brooklyn knew he needed to improve his speaking, but he wasn't sure how. He started searching for ways to practice and become more confident. That's when Brooklyn stumbled upon something that changed everything for him: graded readers. Graded readers are books specifically written for language learners, with simple vocabulary and sentence structures that increase in difficulty as your skills improve. Brooklyn had never heard of them before, but when he started looking into them, he realized that these books could be the key to his speaking improvement. So, what exactly are graded readers, and why are they so effective for improving speaking? Let's break it down. Graded readers are special books designed for learners of all levels. They come in different levels of difficulty, starting with easy stories that use basic vocabulary and sentence structures, and gradually progressing to more complex texts. The great thing about graded readers is that they allow you to practice reading and speaking at the same time. You don't need to be afraid of difficult vocabulary because the stories are written with language learners in mind. Each story is tailored to the learner's level, so you won't feel overwhelmed by new words or grammar that are too hard for you to understand. For Brooklyn, the key to improving his speaking was not just reading the books but also reading them out loud. When you read aloud, you're practicing pronunciation, sentence structure, and fluency. You're actively speaking, and this helps your brain make the connection between the written language and spoken language. The more Brooklyn practiced reading out loud, the more natural speaking English began to feel. The best part, he didn't have to worry about making mistakes because the graded readers were designed to help him practice and improve gradually. For Brooklyn, it didn't happen overnight, but after a few weeks of consistent practice, he noticed a difference. At first, he felt awkward reading out loud, especially when he was alone. But over time, he became more comfortable with it. He realized that it wasn't about speaking perfectly, it was about practicing regularly and allowing himself to make mistakes. By reading the books aloud every day, Brooklyn was able to improve his fluency and gain confidence in speaking. The words started to come to him more easily, and he no longer felt as nervous during conversations. Graded readers allowed Brooklyn to build his speaking skills in a way that felt natural and comfortable. The stories in the graded readers were interesting and engaging, so it didn't feel like traditional studying. He looked forward to reading each day, and the more he practiced, the more his speaking skills improved. With time, he became much more confident in his ability to speak English. He stopped worrying about making mistakes, and instead, he focused on using the language and enjoying the process of learning. If you're like Brooklyn, and you feel stuck when it comes to speaking English, graded readers could be the solution you've been looking for. These books are a fantastic way to practice speaking every day, build your confidence, and improve your fluency. The key is consistency. If you practice a little bit every day, you'll see real progress. And just like Brooklyn, you'll find that speaking English becomes easier, more natural, and something you can enjoy doing. So, if you're ready to take your English speaking skills to the next level, try incorporating graded readers into your daily routine. Just like Brooklyn, you might be surprised at how quickly your confidence grows. Remember, speaking is a skill, and with consistent practice, you'll be speaking English with ease before you know it. Brooklyn practices English every day. He listens to podcasts, watches English movies, and reads books. He has a pretty solid grasp of the language, he understands most conversations and can easily follow along with English media. However, when it's time for him to speak, he runs into a wall. Even though he knows the words and has a good understanding of grammar, when Brooklyn tries to speak, it feels like his mind goes blank. The sentences he has in his head never seem to come out the way he wants. He stumbles over words, struggles with pronunciation, and sometimes even forgets what he was trying to say in the middle of a conversation. It's as if there's a gap between what he knows and what he can express in real time. Brooklyn often finds himself hesitating before speaking, wondering if he's saying things correctly or if his accent will make it harder for others to understand him. This hesitation leads to frustration, and sometimes it makes him avoid speaking altogether. The fear of making mistakes and sounding wrong holds him back from engaging in more conversations, even though he knows that speaking is key to improving his fluency. He wishes there was a way to practice speaking more effectively, something that would allow him to feel more confident and fluid when talking in English. Brooklyn has tried speaking with language exchange partners, but he finds himself still struggling. He knows that he needs more practice, but he doesn't always know how to make it productive. This is a common struggle for many learners. Understanding English is one thing, but speaking it on the spot is another. Brooklyn's challenge isn't that he doesn't know enough English, it's that he hasn't had enough opportunities to speak it in a way that feels natural. Speaking requires more than just knowing words, it requires muscle memory, confidence, and practice, all of which Brooklyn is still working on. Despite his dedication and hard work, Brooklyn often feels like he's not making enough progress when it comes to speaking. The thought of speaking freely without pausing to think or second-guess himself seems like a distant goal. He wishes he could speak with the same ease that he listens or reads, and he's constantly searching for ways to break free from the hesitation and frustration he faces when trying to speak English. If you've ever felt this way, you're not alone. Many learners face similar struggles, and it's completely normal to feel frustrated when speaking doesn't come as easily as understanding or reading. But Brooklyn's story is a reminder that with the right approach and practice, overcoming these challenges is possible. One day, Brooklyn's teacher introduced him to a solution he hadn't heard of before: graded readers. These are books specially designed for learners at different levels of English. Graded readers use simplified language that's easier to understand, while still reflecting real-life conversations. They are structured in a way that allows learners to gradually build their vocabulary and fluency without feeling overwhelmed. The stories are engaging, and they include the type of language that native speakers actually use in everyday situations. Brooklyn was curious but skeptical at first. He had tried various methods to improve his speaking, like listening to podcasts and watching movies in English, but he still struggled to speak confidently. What made graded readers different? Why would reading aloud help him speak better? His teacher explained that graded readers could help him practice speaking the way native speakers do, without the pressure of complex sentences or unfamiliar words. The idea was simple: by reading the stories out loud, Brooklyn would not only practice his pronunciation but also start to get comfortable with sentence structure and flow. As he read, he could repeat the sentences, experiment with pronunciation, and even try to mimic the natural rhythm and intonation of the language. Graded readers also have a range of levels, so Brooklyn could choose books that matched his current proficiency. He wouldn't have to worry about getting frustrated with overly difficult material or feeling bored with things too easy. The key was to start at the right level and gradually challenge himself as his skills grew. Intrigued by this idea, Brooklyn decided to give graded readers a try. He selected a book at his level and began reading aloud every day. At first, it felt a bit awkward, especially since he was used to listening and reading in English but not necessarily speaking it out loud. But as he kept reading the short, simple stories, something surprising started to happen. He began feeling more comfortable. The sentences, which once seemed hard to say, started to roll off his tongue more easily. The beauty of graded readers, Brooklyn quickly realized, was that they didn't just teach vocabulary and grammar, they also encouraged natural speaking patterns. By repeating the sentences in the books, Brooklyn was practicing the rhythm and flow of spoken English. He wasn't just learning words, he was training his mouth and brain to produce them in a natural way. What Brooklyn hadn't expected was how much this simple practice could help him. He felt more confident speaking out loud and less worried about making mistakes. Reading aloud from graded readers allowed him to get used to speaking English without the pressure of real-life conversations, where mistakes might feel more noticeable. The more he practiced, the more he started to sound like the native speakers he heard in podcasts and movies. Graded readers became a key part of Brooklyn's routine. He started with books at his level and gradually moved up as his skills improved. He noticed that, over time, he didn't have to think as much when he spoke. The words came more naturally, and he was able to engage in conversations with less hesitation. Graded readers gave Brooklyn a structured way to practice speaking and, more importantly, the confidence to speak out loud without worrying about getting it perfect. For Brooklyn, discovering graded readers was the turning point he needed to take his speaking skills to the next level. Brooklyn's practice routine with graded readers became an essential part of his daily life. Every day, he set aside time to read aloud, starting with beginner-level books that used simple sentences and easy vocabulary. He understood that the key to success was consistency, so he made sure to practice every day, even if it was just for 15 minutes. At first, Brooklyn found that reading aloud felt a bit slow. Some of the words were tricky, and the rhythm of speaking in English was unfamiliar to him. But he didn't get discouraged. He focused on repeating sentences until they felt more natural. If he came across a sentence that was hard to pronounce, he would slow down and repeat it several times, paying attention to the flow of the words. This helped him get comfortable with speaking English, and soon he started to notice that his confidence was growing. One of the things that Brooklyn found most helpful was focusing on understanding the meaning behind the words rather than just memorizing them. He realized that it wasn't enough to learn vocabulary in isolation, he needed to see how words were used in context. This approach helped him remember words and phrases more easily, because he could picture how they were used in real-life conversations. For example, when he encountered a phrase like, "How's it going?" he not only learned the words but also understood when and how it was used in a casual conversation. As Brooklyn progressed, he began to pick books that were slightly more challenging. He felt more comfortable with the language and wanted to push himself further. The key was to choose books that were still manageable but offered new vocabulary and sentence structures. Sometimes, he would stop reading and try to say the sentences he'd just read, practicing the pronunciation and experimenting with the intonation. This helped him mimic the natural rhythm of native speakers, which was something he had struggled with before. In addition to reading aloud, Brooklyn also made a habit of writing down any new words or phrases he came across. After reading a chapter or a short story, he would go over his notes and try to use the new vocabulary in sentences of his own. This reinforced what he had learned and made him feel more confident when it was time to speak. Brooklyn's routine wasn't just about reading for the sake of reading, it was about actively engaging with the language. He used the stories as a way to practice speaking, and over time, he started to sound more fluent and natural. The books gave him an opportunity to practice speaking in different contexts, from simple conversations to more complex situations. By repeating sentences from the stories, he became more familiar with sentence structures and learned how to string words together more smoothly. In the beginning, Brooklyn was nervous about making mistakes while speaking. But the graded readers gave him a safe space to practice without the pressure of a real conversation. He knew that making mistakes was part of the process, and he embraced it. The more he practiced, the less he worried about errors, and the more confident he became in his ability to speak English fluently. Through this daily routine of reading aloud, repeating sentences, focusing on meaning, and gradually challenging himself with more advanced books, Brooklyn's speaking skills improved steadily. His practice with graded readers became a crucial part of his journey to becoming a more confident English speaker. After practicing with graded readers for a few weeks, Brooklyn began to notice remarkable improvements in his speaking skills. At first, it was subtle. He noticed that the words were coming a bit faster, and he didn't need to pause as often to search for the right word. But over time, these small improvements added up to significant progress. Brooklyn found that he could speak more clearly, and his sentences started to sound more natural. The flow of his speech became smoother, and he began to use new vocabulary without thinking twice. The most surprising part was how quickly he started remembering words. Words that used to feel elusive or difficult to recall were now coming to him almost effortlessly. His vocabulary was expanding, and he was able to express himself with greater ease. Perhaps the most noticeable change was Brooklyn's growing confidence. In the beginning, he was nervous about speaking with others. He worried that his accent or mistakes would make him sound less fluent. But as he practiced regularly with graded readers, he started to feel more comfortable making mistakes. He realized that mistakes were a natural part of the learning process and that they didn't have to hold him back. As a result, he became more relaxed when speaking and stopped overthinking every word. The boost in confidence was especially evident when Brooklyn spoke with native speakers. In the past, he might have hesitated to engage in conversations, but now, he felt more comfortable jumping into discussions. He no longer feared that he would forget a word or say something wrong. Instead, he focused on the conversation itself, trusting that his practice with graded readers had prepared him for real-world situations. Brooklyn's fluency also improved because he had developed a better sense of the rhythm and intonation of English. He was able to sound more like a native speaker, adjusting his tone and pauses as he spoke. This wasn't something he could have achieved by simply memorizing vocabulary. It came from actively engaging with the language through the graded readers and mimicking how native speakers communicate. By the time a few months had passed, Brooklyn was amazed at how far he had come. He could speak English with ease, and his conversations felt more fluid and natural. He even started to enjoy speaking, rather than feeling anxious or frustrated. What was once a source of stress had now become something he looked forward to. And as his speaking skills continued to improve, Brooklyn realized that his success was due to the consistency of his daily practice with graded readers. In the end, Brooklyn's progress wasn't just about speaking better, it was about gaining the confidence to communicate in English without fear or hesitation. This transformation was a direct result of his dedication to using graded readers, which allowed him to practice speaking in a relaxed and enjoyable way. Just like Brooklyn, you too can improve your speaking skills using graded readers. The key to success is consistency. By reading aloud every day, focusing on the meaning behind the words, and not worrying too much about making mistakes, you'll build the confidence you need to speak more naturally. Remember, fluency doesn't come overnight, but with small, consistent steps, you'll see huge improvements. So, if you want to speak English with confidence, start using graded readers in your daily routine. The more you practice, the easier and more enjoyable speaking will become. Now that you've seen how Brooklyn improved his speaking using graded readers, let's recap the key takeaways and explain how you can apply them to your own learning journey. If you want to speak English with confidence, the most important thing is consistent practice. Graded readers are an excellent tool for this because they are designed to help learners at different levels of English proficiency. These books offer simple, clear stories with language that's easy to understand but still natural, just like how native speakers communicate. Just like Brooklyn did, you can improve your fluency step by step. You don't need to worry about memorizing vocabulary or focusing too much on grammar rules. The key to fluency is practicing regularly by reading aloud, understanding the meaning of words in context, and feeling comfortable making mistakes. With time and effort, your speaking will become more natural, and you'll start feeling confident in your ability to express yourself in English. Here are 5 simple and practical steps you can follow to master your English speaking skills using graded readers. These steps will help you build confidence and fluency, just like Brooklyn did. To start, it's important to pick a graded reader that matches your current level. If you're a beginner, choose books with simpler language, short sentences, and easy vocabulary. As you progress, you can move on to more challenging texts. Finding a book that's not too difficult but still offers new words and phrases will help you improve steadily. One of the most effective ways to improve your speaking skills is by reading aloud. Choose a book you like, and read it out loud every day. This will help you practice pronunciation, improve your fluency, and build muscle memory for the sounds and rhythms of the language. It may feel a little strange at first, but the more you do it, the more natural it will become. Try to read at a comfortable pace and focus on speaking clearly. As you read, you might come across sentences or phrases that are difficult to say. When this happens, take a moment to pause and repeat the sentence several times until it feels natural. This will help you develop a more fluid way of speaking. You can also try reading the same sentence in different ways, slowly, quickly, or with different emotions, to get used to varying your speech patterns and intonation. It's easy to get caught up in memorizing vocabulary, but focusing on the meaning behind the words is much more important when it comes to speaking. As you read, pay attention to how words are used in sentences, and try to understand the context in which they appear. This will help you not only remember the words more easily but also use them correctly when speaking. The goal is to learn how native speakers use language in real-life situations, so don't worry too much about perfection. Just focus on getting the meaning right. The key to improvement is consistency. Set aside time every day to read aloud and practice your speaking skills. You don't need to read for hours, even 15 to 20 minutes a day can make a big difference. Make it part of your daily routine so it becomes a habit. The more you practice, the more natural your speaking will become, and the more confident you will feel in your ability to communicate in English. I'd love to hear about your experiences with graded readers. Have you tried reading aloud? How has it been helping you improve your speaking? Whether you're just getting started or you've been using graded readers for a while, I encourage you to share your progress in the comments below. I'm excited to hear how it's working for you and what changes you've noticed in your speaking. Remember, everyone's journey is different, and sharing your story can inspire others too. If you found this video helpful and want to continue improving your English, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss any new lessons. I'll be sharing more tips and strategies to help you speak English confidently, and I want to make sure you don't miss out on anything. Keep practicing every day, stay motivated, and remember, you're making progress, even on days when it doesn't feel like it. You're on the right path to speaking English with ease and confidence, just like Brooklyn. So, let's keep going, and I'll see you in the next video. Keep reading, keep speaking, and most importantly, keep believing in yourself. The more you practice, the closer you get to fluency. You've got this. Remember, learning English is a journey, and every small step brings you closer to your goal. Just like Brooklyn, you can improve your speaking skills with consistent practice. It's not about being perfect right away, it's about making progress every day. With graded readers, you're not just learning words, you're learning how to use them naturally in conversation. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become, and soon you'll be speaking English like a pro. Keep reading aloud, focus on understanding the meaning behind the words, and practice speaking as often as you can. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, they're part of the learning process. Each mistake is a step forward, helping you grow and improve. You've got this, and with each practice session, you're getting closer to your goal. So, keep up the great work, stay motivated, and remember, the more you practice, the better you'll become. Keep pushing forward, and before you know it, speaking English will feel effortless and natural. You're on the right path, and I believe in you. Keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next video.